house give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LOLC Finance.
I'm Kathryn Eagle.
Hi, I'm Kalpana Solanki.
Hi, I'm Lilian Boehlke.
Hi, I'm Walker.
Hi, I'm Thomson, and we will be answering living burning questions today.
Welcome to the show, ladies, and thank you for being with us today on this gloomy Saturday morning. So we have with us today Lilian Boehlke, Kathryn Eagle, Thomson, Jessica Walker, and Kalpana Solanki. Okay, so the first question is for you, Lilian. What themes or messages were you hoping to convey through your pieces in the distance?
Thank you. My overall idea was to capture the longing and belonging in nature. And I feel for me, the nature always tells a certain kind of truth. And in Sri Lanka, especially even in an urban setting, I feel I always find little glimpses of this. And I work with layers, and that my ultimate goal for my artwork is for the viewer to be captured and maybe stand in front of it and really feel drawn in and then find the details. And I work in a very layered way with almost like a sculptural structure to it. And I feel that maybe when you're viewing this, you almost feel like you want to be part of it. And for me, that's been a very meditative way of working. And I hope that also is felt if you're looking at the art.
Nice, interesting. Right, next question is for you, Kathryn. How did Eleanor Sargent's poem, The Distance, influence your work for this particular exhibition?
Well, yeah, it was a starting point which was really interesting to work with. The poem is quite resonant for me because it was written by a British woman and she wrote this a long time ago, but her ideas in the poem are all about looking out over the sea to distant lands and imagining all of the exotic and unusual and different scenes and smells and sounds that she would encounter. And so as someone who's obviously moved from England a long time ago and lived in Sri Lanka now for a few years, lived in other lands, then this was a really interesting place to start my artwork. And so, can I read a bit of the poem?
Yes.
Because it would maybe help to explain. The poem talks a lot about all the sights and sounds. So, for example, she says, I smell the smell of distance and long for another existence. Smell of pineapple, maize and myrrh, parrot feather and monkey fur, brown spice, blue ice, fields of tobacco and tea and rice. And for me, it's those images that I've had since coming to Sri Lanka of just the greenery, all the greens, the colours you see in ladies' saris, the vibrancy, just the colours are what inspired me for my artwork. So my work has been very abstract, and so it's colours which I would not imagine seeing had I been still living in England. And it's just come through in my work that I wanted to sort of express the feelings of colours that are wonderful to me.
Well, your attire shows and you are quite colourful. Alright, so the next one is for you, Ed.
Yes.
Okay. So, how have Sri Lankan textures, both natural and urban, influenced your recent pieces?
My work really focuses on landscape, but it does incorporate architectural features as well. And I'm really interested in botanical colonialism and plants and how plants travel around the world and survive like many people have. And we are all painters, and technically painting plants and architecture, it's really interesting to paint those things. Like, it's technically hard sometimes, and there's wonderful shapes. And in Sri Lanka, as Kath was saying, we have all of the tropical plants which are just have such incredible shapes and combinations, and the plants all bend and fold and twist, and it's just such a pleasure to paint them. And just incorporating architectural features into the work, it just gives place and it gives a sense of where something is for somebody in a painting. So Sri Lanka specifically, it just has a plethora of amazing landscapes and plants, and so it's just such a great starting point for all of us to paint from.
See, a lot of the inspiration comes from Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Yeah, paintings. Of course. Jessica, so given the exhibition of the distance, what did you hope the visitors actually took away from it when they did visit the exhibition?
Well, I think collectively as artists, you want your work to resonate with the people who come into the gallery and have a connection with the work and ultimately end up buying something. But I think from a more business point of view, I hope that people come, that visitors came and saw that the art scene is very accessible. Lionel Rent is an amazing platform for any artist to collectively gather their work and showcase it. And it's wonderful for people to come in and see that art is alive and well, and that there's traction and it's active and it's very accessible. So I think that would be an experience just to know that, it's accessible.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. Kalpana, next one is for you. What unique narratives or emotions were you hoping to evoke in viewers through your pieces?
This is a really interesting question because I painted with my emotions. I painted with what I have felt living as, an expatriate over these last couple of years. Each of my artworks that I did for this exhibition had a story, but I didn't expect the viewer to know the story by just looking at it. All I wanted really was for them to stop and be curious and just wonder, what's it all about. And I intentionally used loud colors because those were what I was feeling. Those colors represent my feelings. But what was really interesting was when people came up to me and spoke to me and told me what they thought, they felt. I think that was the prize for me, because I love to hear what other people have to say and how they feel about the work.
Interesting. Okay. So back to Lilian. So how do you navigate the balance between your own cultural identity and the new influences you seem to absorb here in Sri Lanka?
I really like this question. I always reflect on this a lot since I've been moving away from what originally felt like this was home. I'm born and raised in the Netherlands and have not lived there for about 20 years now. And I've been resident in the United States, Tanzania, Malaysia, and Netherlands. This is the third year that we are in Sri Lanka. And reflecting on that question, I feel the influences from all of those times directly correlate to the layers I see in my painting. But sometimes I feel I step back and I just see like a mixed mess. And I really intentionally have to choose of which parts do I like, do I want to keep, do I want to highlight. And that I do that in my paintings, and this is layer upon layer. I feel like I'm communicating to see it all come together. And that gives me a certain feeling of balance. So within the artwork as well as in my life internationally.
Probably out of your home country for 20 years.
About
That's a long time.
Yeah, so it really become a mix of influences. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Kathryn, the next question is for you. So how have the stories and experiences of living in Sri Lanka shaped the narratives of your current work?
Reflecting on the work that I've made recently, I think that almost subconsciously the influence of Sri Lanka, the culture, the people, the experiences I've had whilst living here have kind of come out in my work, and perhaps it's not even been evident to me until I've looked at the work and gone, oh, actually these abstract shapes somehow look like a Sinhala character, perhaps. For example, I've got a piece which I've named asemic, which means without meaning, but many people have commented that actually they look like characters, although they're not characters, because obviously I can't speak or write or read Sinhala. But just seeing the beautiful shapes of the language around the city as I go around, then it's obviously somehow seeped into my brain and then comes through in the work. Likewise with the colours, as I mentioned before, then just seeing the beautiful tropical flowers and the temple decorations and so forth. I think all of those narratives of my experience have kind of fed in subconsciously.
Nice. Can you talk about a particular piece from the exhibition that represents your journey here in Sri Lanka?
Sure. I have a piece that's titled Ficus Damaropsis, a botanical migrant, and it's a large painting of a plant. And the plant I photographed in the Melbourne Botanic Gardens, which is where I'm from. And then I also photographed that plant in the Candy Botanic Gardens, which is I've lived here a long time, so I feel like Sri Lanka is my other home. And I did some research on this plant. This plant is actually originally from New Guinea. So this plant has moved to Australia and it's also moved to Sri Lanka and many other parts of the world. It's also known as the island breadfruit plant. So the breadfruit plant was moved around the world by the British as a form of food for plantation workers, and has elements of slavery involved as well as it's a food source. And the thing that I find so interesting about this plant is it's managed to survive. And the climate in Melbourne is quite cold and quite different from Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is a obviously humid and tropical environment. And I think there's just such a parallel in the people and the way people move and the way people migrate and people adapt and survive as well. So I find that when I'm doing that work, I'm thinking about the people and the things that we have in common. So I hope that comes across.
Interesting, very nice. Lovely. Okay, Jessica, can you describe a particular memorable or transformative experience during the creation of your artwork for this particular exhibition?
Of course. And again, I'd like to refer collectively to this. I think what it's done for us as artists, as a group of artists, it's given us an arena to play. Before I felt like I was very stagnant I was very kind of fixed on the things I was producing. There were certain things that were selling that I was very much in a safe place. And this exhibition really kind of opened up a whole new avenue of possibilities. And because of this deadline that we had, there was this pressure to paint and to experiment and to play. And with the poem as well, it just kind of made you think more laterally, more creatively. And it was this explosion of a license to play. So with techniques and to just break free from your safe space. And I think that is one of the things I walk away from, just in working towards a deadline. Yes, there was that deadline, but and the support of these other 5 artists around me was quite wonderful. Just the encouragement to keep going. There's always so much self-doubt as an artist. You go through phases of flux and rises and falls, and just to have that support of keep going. Also, a sounding board. Do you feel this colour's working? Do you feel this works? Does this composition work? And just the support. And I think it also just really solidifies the fact that we're individual artists, but collaborative work is the most powerful. And when you work together, that is when your pieces have the most traction, the most musicality, diversity. So I think that's what I really enjoyed more than anything, actually, was the process and everything. Yeah.
Great. Okay. The last question is for you, Kalpana. What has been the most surprising discovery about your own creative process while working in this new kind of environment, which just was very, very beautifully said a while ago?
You know, as an expat when you're moving countries, every time you move to a new place, it's like you restart your life and you have to start from scratch. For my husband and my children, they have a purpose from day one, right? They go to work, go to school and stuff. Through this opportunity that came my way to participate in this exhibition, I found purpose. And it was incredible. I learned so much about myself whilst I was painting, but one of the things was that I had so much control over my work. When you're looking to do, I've also worked as a designer, so I've always found it difficult because you depend on other people also to produce your work. Whereas in this case, it was just me and my art canvas, and I had a small space and I could do, whatever I wanted. And I think that was just so good for me. And I learned so many things along the way that maybe it's also my age now that, I just don't care anymore. I will do what I want, whether you like it or not. And if you love it, great. We're on the same page then. But yeah, it was a really nice process. And I'm so happy to have been a part of it. Yeah.
I would like to add, on behalf of all of us, and also Chris, the other artist who's not here today, that we're really grateful to Lionel and also all of the Colombo community who came and supported us, because when you participate in a group show, yes, the aim is we would really like to sell our works, but having conversations with people about our work and sharing our work with other people is really what the art is about. And we were so overwhelmed by the support and the conversations that we had with people, and many people that we didn't know that were complete strangers to us. So we really would like to say a huge thanks, because it really helps us with our art practice and helps encourage us to do it again. And we plan to do another show next year. So we hope that you'll come and support us for that.
Well, something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. So ladies, we've come to the end of the first segment, which was the questions. So we'll see you on the other side with the fun little game we have for you.
Sure.
Okay.
What makes a truly awesome insurance company? Is it the skills to manage big numbers and big responsibilities? Well, that's definitely part of it. But there's more. It's the people. They're awesome. Super passionate about looking out for others and putting in their time for people's finances. It's not just the people. It's how we do things that's awesome. From being trendsetters of the industry to being connectors or inventors. It's about well-being and how we achieve it. Our teams hustle non-stop to meet the needs of the people. That's why we're on the rise. And it's not just about how we do things either. It's about how we improve things. Helping our clients thrive in a world that's full of awesome goals to achieve. Making the maximum out of the minimum. But wait, there's more to it. There's one last thing that truly makes an insurance company awesome. It's that we care about our people and our customers. All of this combined, it's been a pretty awesome year. And we're excited for tomorrow.
welcome back to the second segment, which is the game part of the show. So what we have for you today is the cricket. Oh, you will find a very interesting one. So let's start with you.
Okay,
Did you
I'm
pick
the
the first one?
first victim. Alright. Okay, I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. Susie works in a shoe shine shop. Where she shines, she sits, and where she sits, she shines. It's been dangerous.
He's like, Slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit.
Time 3.
Slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. One more. Slit the sheet I split, and on the slitted sheet I sit.
Near an air, a nearer air, a nearly eerie air. Near an air, a nearer air, a nearly eerie air. One more. Near an air, a nearer air, a nearly eerie air.
Excellent. Oh, this is actually very applicable in my life. Pre-shrunk silk shirt, pre-shrunk silk shirt, pre-shrunk silk shirt.
Well done. Good memory. Swan swam over the sea, swim, swan, swim, swam, swam, back again, swell, swam, swam.
Okay,
Alright. Round 2.
okay. Tom threw tin 3 thumb. Start again. Tom threw tin 3 thumbtacks. He threw 3 free throws. Tom threw tin 3 thumbtacks. He threw 3 free throws. Tom threw tin 3
Good word.
Good enough.
There you go.
Betty bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So 'twas better Betty bought a bit of better butter.
I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm not a pheasant plucker. I'm a pheasant plucker's son, and I'm only plucking pheasants till the pheasant's plucker comes.
That's a really dumb. Oh, it's really, really good.
Wrong.
You've got a lip.
Yeah.
Or something.
Lesser leather never weathered, wetter weather better. Lesser leather never weathered, wetter weather better. Lesser leather never weathered, wetter weather better.
Oh,
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, Fuzzy Wuzzy was a Fuzzy Wuzzy.
Thanks! Brilliant.
Well done, ladies. Thank you very much for being on the show today, and thank you for the inspiring words I spoke about as well. Before we end the session, just one thing to add. As a curator of the show, could you just very briefly tell us how you stumbled upon this poem? So that's
Yeah, I think that when you've got a group of artists and you want to have a show, there needs to be some, and especially everyone's work is so different, you want their work to be different. There needs to be some common thread that there is a theme, and it's up to the artist if they want to follow that theme or not. And I'm just very lucky. I feel that poetry is a really good starting point for a theme, and it gives you a feeling. So I have a lot of poetry books at home, so I pick poems about distance or being an expatriate or living away from home or foreign lands, and I stumbled across this one, and even though it's quite old, it's from the 1800s, I feel that the words are very evocative of tropical space. I don't think it's necessarily about Sri Lanka, but the words really give you that feeling of spice and heat and animals and birds and noises. And I think if you can get that feeling, it really helps generate the artwork. And it was lovely. Everyone responded to it in such different ways, and I think it went really well.
Lovely, that was wonderful. Okay, thank you again, ladies, for being on the show, and wish you all the very best for the next time that you will come up, right? And
Thank you for having me.
you're most welcome. Thank you.
There you have it. These are our answers to the questions and the game.
Be sure to check out Living Instagram and Facebook pages for the latest episode of Living Gets Real.
Bye.